All right. So filling visualizations with energy. Now, this is going to be something that you're going to want to do after you've gotten really good at meditation. So, when you've gone into meditation, you can do your 1 2 1 2 1 2 with your breathing, and you're able to get into a relaxed state where you're able to have a thought, bring it back to focus, have another thought, bring it back to focus, have another thought, bring it back to focus. This requires what? Metacognition, right? This is a skill you should be building. Once you get it, you understand what it kind of feels like, and then you can keep getting better and better and better. But filling visualizations with energy. So, what I'm talking about here is emotions, right? So, when we are picturing something from our past, or when we're picturing something for our future, we don't just want to stick to the past of this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. What were the emotions there, right? Was it a happy thing? Was it a sad thing? Was it a scary thing? Was it a really scary thing? Was it just kind of a meh thing? I want you to be able to fill yourself up with that emotion. So when you're in the past and you're diving into something that's like traumatic or what have you, for like recapitulation and whatnot, you travel into that memory, into that past in your mind, and you feel that fear. If I go back to something that scared me when I was a kid, and I really visualized it and pictured it and everything, I would have that same gut reaction. Like this one time when I got lost when I was on vacation, it was at a ranch, and I got lost, and I ended up like roaming around a bunch of different adults and horses and stuff, and I can still picture a bunch of it, and I can feel how scared I was back then because I was like maybe 8 or something. Kudos to my dad for sending me off to find a bathroom on my own. Um, didn't work out so well, but I can feel the fear in there when I'm thinking about it, and I can still see little snippets of like memories of roaming around wondering where the hell to go. And if I sit there with it long enough, I can really feel that fear. And the thing is, you embrace it. You bring it into yourself. You taste it, but you want more. And you build that feeling up and focus on that fear or that happiness or what have you until you can feel it filling you up. You might get warm, you might get cold, you might get tingly, you might, get clammy, things like that. You're going to want to embrace that and fill yourself up with it. So run the gambit with all of these different emotions. So I want you to think of like a happy memory or a sad memory or a scary memory and pick one of each and then really play around with how that makes you feel. So pick the happiest memory of your life. You can go back in time and visit it, right? Let it fill you up. Think of all the different details of that memory. Where were you? What was the temperature like? What did it smell like wherever the heck you were? What were you wearing? The other people around, what were they wearing? What were they saying? Be back in that moment and feel that happiness and even allow yourself to smile, because when we smile, we can actually trigger happy neurochemicals and thus make ourselves even happier. And we are manipulating our emotions and therefore manipulating our energies. You can think of it this way. There's high energy states and low energy states. Now think of that with emotion. What's a high emotion? Happiness. What's a low emotion? Sadness. What's another high emotion? Anger, right? And then you have like melancholy for another low emotion. So high energy states, high emotional states, low energy states, low emotional states. And you're going to want to play around with all of those, because when you then go into, so we just talked about the past and visiting a bunch of memories and getting an idea of what different emotional states feel like. Then when you're picturing what you want the future to be like, right? You see yourself getting that job. You see yourself, making a bunch of money. You see yourself getting into that new relationship or whatever it is. When you see yourself doing that, you then fill yourself up with that emotion that you would feel in that future event, right? It's not only drawing more neural connections from, where you are or in your mind about, ooh, this thing is going to make me feel this way, and therefore it's more motivating, but you are filling yourself up with energy that you are going to use in spell work, whether it's sigil magic, candle magic, what have you, that you can then send off to attract that particular future to you because you are creating that future. You are setting the future out here, you are here, and then you travel towards it. But when you are visualizing your future, just like you did in the past, who was there? What did it smell like? What was the temperature in the room like? What were you wearing? What were the other people wearing? What were they saying? As you fill this visualization and this memory with color, you also fill it with emotion. And the biggest key with this, and this takes a lot of practice, is you fill yourself up with that emotion to the point where you want to burst. Like you can't do anything other than just burst. That's the phrase that I use to describe it. It's like if you have an itch somewhere, try ignoring that itch. And then, funny how I had an itch right there, right while I was talking about it. Probably something psychosomatic. But if you have an itch and you ignore it, what happens? You start to obsess over it. It like feels like it's more than it was before, and you hyper focus on it, and that irritation of the itch just consumes you. Have you ever been there? Um, that's how you want to feel kind of with the emotion that you're filling up a visualization with, where you feel like you're gonna go kaboom because you're just so full of those thoughts and that emotion. The more that you focus on it, the more your brain wants to do something else, but you don't let it. You redirect and constantly redirect towards, this is how I'm going to feel. Look at how amazing this is. I want this, I want this, I want this. This is going to make me feel so happy, right? And then when you get to that feeling where you honestly can't take it anymore and you just want to shoot up out of your chair, or you want to open your eyes, or you want to jump up and wiggle around just to get all the heebie-jeebies out, that's when you focus on your spell work, right? So after energy raising or filling visualizations with energy, right? That's when you transition to your sigil magic, your candle magic, your cord magic, whatever that magic is. You have to fill that with energy. So building up the energy through the visualization and coloring it and filling it with emotions then translates to the execution of the work that's actually going to send out there and make that big wave, let's say, that is then going to ripple back and bring you what you want. So the more that you practice with this kind of thing, the better you're going to get. So, definitely take a look at like a list of different things that you can think of in your past, or create that list, of something that made you extremely happy, something that made you extremely sad, something that made you extremely angry. Run the gambit of different emotions and try to pick a memory and sit yourself in it. Sit yourself in it until you bathe yourself in that emotion and you can't do it anymore. Because when you go back into the past and you experience that kind of thing, it's like the emotions come out of the memory, but it teaches you what it feels like. It's flexing that muscle. And then when you step into spell work and do visualization and you color it with that emotional energy, you're using that same mechanism of building up that emotional energy, except rather than it happening to you in a way, you're triggering it. So in the past stuff, when you are picturing things, it's from like top down. But this, in the future, whatnot, we're doing bottom up, if that makes sense. So you use the past to inform your actions and your desires and your spell work for the future.